Greetings to all. Warm Advent blessings to all of you, my dear sisters and brothers and my dear friends. This is your Pastor Yadi. Advent Week 4, Wednesday. I'm going to talk about the Gospel of Matthew chapter 10, the verses 32 to 42 of Jesus Causes Division. So everyone who owns up in front of others to being on my side, I will own them before my Father in heaven. But anyone who disown me in front of others, I will disown that person before my Father in heaven. Don't think it's my job to bring peace on the earth. I didn't come to bring peace. I came to bring a sword. I came to divide a man from his father, a daughter from her mother, and the daughter-in-law from her mother-in-law. Yes, you'll find your enemies inside your own front door. If you love your father or mother more than me, you don't deserve me. If you love your son or daughter more than me, you don't deserve me. Anyone who doesn't pick up their cross and follow after me doesn't deserve me. If you find your life, you'll lose it. And if you lose your life because of me, you'll find it. Anyone who welcomes you welcomes me. And anyone who welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Anyone who welcomes a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And anyone who receives an upright person in the name of an upright person will receive an upright person's reward. And anyone who gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones in the name of a disciple, I'm telling you the truth, they won't go short of their reward. Sons against fathers, daughters against mothers. What on earth could he mean? Rejecting parents and children, not peace on earth, but a sword. Can this be Jesus himself? What's going on? How can we get our minds around these strange sayings? Of course, the New Testament also has a good deal to say about caring for one another within the family. And I know that some have misguidedly taken passages like these as a license to neglect their own dependents and spend all their time on the Lord's work. But these are stern and uncomfortable words which we can't ignore. They echo down the years into the Christian church of today. Think of Saint Francis leaving his wealthy home despite his father's fury to go and live a simple life of imitating Jesus as much as he could, and setting an example that thousands still follow today. Think of those who have faced terrible dangers for the sake of the gospel and have had to send their families to a place of safety elsewhere, while they have stayed to look after a church because there wasn't anyone else to do it. Jesus doesn't say here that everyone who follows him will find themselves split off from their families. Certainly not. Indeed, many of the apostles in the days of the early church took their spouses with them on their travels. You can check this out in the New Testament in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 5. But Jesus is once again talking about priorities and is making remarkable and quite drastic claims. He isn't saying, as some have tried to pretend that he was saying, that what matters is following God in your own way. He is saying loud and clear that what matters is allegiance to him, or allegiance to him. Allegiance to Jesus must come at the top of every priority list. We can see, as the story unwinds, how difficult this was even for those who knew him personally. Peter denied him. Judas betrayed him. The rest all ran away and hid. But the challenge remains, embracing everything, demanding everything, offering everything, promising everything. The absolute demand of Jesus brings us back to where we were in the Sermon on the Mount. It isn't the case that there are some fine ideals in the mind of God, and that Jesus just happens to teach them a bit better than most people. Nor is it the case that Jesus came to show the way to the present world, to a quite different one, where we will go after that. No. Jesus came to begin and establish the new way of being God's people, and not, surprisingly, those who were quite happy with the old one. Thank you very much. Didn't like having it disturbed. He didn't want to bring division within households for the sake of it. But he knew that if people followed his way, division was bound to follow. Actually, the passage about sons and daughters, daughters and mothers, and so on, is a quotation from one of the Old Testament prophets, Micah 7 verse 6. In this passage, the prophet predicts the terrible divisions that would always occur when God was doing a thing, a new thing. When God acts to rescue his people, there are always some who declare that they don't need rescuing, that they are comfortable as they are. Part of the reason for quoting this passage here is to say, don't be surprised if this happens now. This too is part of your tradition. Your own scripture contains warning about the great disruptions that will happen when God finally acts once and for all to save you. That's why Jesus challenged to the disciples themselves and through him to the Israel of his day, and to be so sharp, and often has to be just as sharp today, where people still naturally prefer comfort to challenge. But the challenge of Jesus' sayings is matched by the remarkable promises he makes to those who accept him and live by them. He will own us before his Father in heaven. Those who lose their lives will find him, and at the end we have the remarkable chain reaction of those who serve their fellow human beings out of love for Jesus. Give a cup of cold water to one of Jesus' least significant followers, and you're giving it to Jesus himself. Whatever you do for Jesus, you do not just for Jesus, but for God, the one who sent me. If Jesus' people today could relearn the simple but profound lesson, the church might once again be able to go out with a message to challenge and change people's hearts. Here are some reflection questions. How can you put Jesus first in your life? What practical changes do we need to make? If Jesus' people today could relearn these simple but profound lessons, the church might once again be able to go out with a message to challenge and change people's heart. This is your Pastor Yeti.